6 o'clock, I'll call this meeting to order of the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners. We actually stand for a moment of silence for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the regular meeting proposed agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Felber,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hulls. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? County Proclamations Recognition Celebration. Consider approval of proclamation designating October as Manufacturing Month. Obviously, it's going to be Brian Fleming. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Chair and Board of Directors. This is the 2025 proclamation designating October 2025 as Manufacturing Month. Whereas from medical devices that save lives to food that nourish families, from precision equipment that powers innovation to outdoor gear that fuels adventure, Minnesota's manufacturers shape our world both here at home and around the globe. And whereas manufacturing's $58.8 billion contribution to the state's economy in 2024 represents 12% of the state's gross domestic product, and whereas more than 93,000 job openings for manufacturing production positions alone through 2032, manufacturing will remain one of the most reliable career pathways in Minnesota. And whereas Minnesota manufacturers are pioneering advances across subsectors in automation through sustainable production that ensure the industry will remain competitive for generations to come. And whereas more than 8,500 manufacturers across the state, from family-owned shops in small towns to world-leading global firms, create products that Minnesotans and people worldwide rely on every day. And whereas Minnesota-made goods, from medical devices to food products, farm equipment to winter apparel, carry our state's ingenuity around the globe, bringing $24.6 billion into the state economy through manufactured exports alone. And whereas behind every Minnesota-made product are highly skilled workers whose creativity, expertise, and dedication strengthen Minnesota's communities and quality of life. There are more than 320,000 people working in Minnesota's manufacturing sector who took home $26.7 billion in wages in 2024, the second largest total payroll among private sector industries. And whereas manufacturing careers in Minnesota pay an average annual wage of just under $83,280, there we go, which is 12% higher than the state's overall average wage in 2024. And whereas manufacturing jobs provide not only family-sustaining wages, but also opportunities for growth, innovation, and pride in building things that matter. Now, therefore, the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners do by proclaim October 2025 as Manufacturing Month in Sherburne County.
I'll entertain a motion to accept that.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Commissioner Danielowski,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Hulls. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Moving on to 2.2, consider approval of proclamation denouncing political violence. Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. You will recall that we experienced a couple of very tough tragedies nationally and in the state here over the last several months. The county board took action when you were at a retreat, actually, and issued a statement regarding political violence in America. At the subsequent board meeting, you asked that it be prepared as a resolution that could be, or a proclamation that could be approved by the board formally and signed by you all collectively but individually. So we have prepared a resolution for consideration tonight. Keisha has the proclamation, and should you be so willing, then following passage of the proclamation, we would have commissioners sign it individually, representing the collective action of the board, and then we would distribute that accordingly and appropriately. I can read it. The chair can obviously read it. I'll defer to the board on how you wish to proceed.
You may read it, Bruce.
Whereas violence has no place in a healthy democracy, and it is unacceptable for any political purpose. And whereas the September 10th assassination of political activist, entrepreneur, and media personality Charlie Kirk, and the June 14th assassinations of Minnesota House Speaker Emeritus Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark are despicable acts that constitute an attack on our democracy and against all Americans. And whereas while disagreements in the political arena are common, expected, and even healthy, they cannot and should not be resolved with bloodshed. And whereas Charlie Kirk championed civil and substantive political discourse regarding our disagreements, believing words should resolve our differences, not violence. And whereas Melissa Hortman championed American democracy as a means to do as much good for as many people as possible. And whereas former President George W. Bush said in response to Kirk's assassination, violence and vitriol must be purged from the public square. Members of other political parties are not our enemies. They are our fellow citizens. Now, therefore, the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims its denunciation of political violence of any kind or manifestation. Be it further proclaimed by the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners that regardless of one's political affiliation, Americans are urged to stand together as one people, as one nation, and decry political violence in any form.
Thank you, Bruce. Looking for a motion to approve that proclamation.
I'll move to approve the proclamation.
Moved by Commissioner Felber,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Danielowski. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, public hearing, 3.1, public hearing, consider revision to all services and fee schedule. Turn it over to Bruce for an introduction of this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Public hearing tonight is to consider adopting a unified fee schedule for 2026 with one caveat, which Keisha will note for you for an earlier beginning this year. These fees were presented to the board individually in department budgets and were included in part of the preliminary budget and levy that you have previously adopted. They are fairly routine. You can see there's quite a number of them. I do apologize online if you were looking for the fees. There were some blank pages because of the Excel format, but they represent small incremental increases without any significant large increase that we will highlight tonight. With that, I'll ask Keisha to just briefly summarize the changes and then highlight the one that would come into play prior to January 2026.
So the one that would come into play prior to January 2026 is the one that you recently passed for community corrections. I believe it was only a few meetings ago.
Okay.
And we did have the public hearing for that and everything. And that has been updated on the county website. As you can see, you guys got a draft copy that had all the markings on it. Anything that was crossed out in red or highlighted would have been your changes and omissions. They're all standard changes that we generally see every time we bring this to the board.
And then the other one that will come into play upon adoption is the stormwater and erosion control permit fee. So that one is upon publication, which, Don, usually publication is 2 weeks after this. So once it's published, that one does become effective. And I see Mitch and Mark are here, so they're eager to get their hands on that fee. So
Now open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this issue? Is there anyone here to speak? Brett?
Good evening, Brett Collier, Big Lake. Just a couple questions and a comment. Page 17, you've increased the compliance for tax forfeiture land affidavit fee from $10 to $75. That's an over 700% jump. Just wondering how'd this one go up so much?
I can respond on behalf of the auditor treasurer, but basically the new state laws that are required for tax forfeiture are exceptionally cumbersome on staff, and so we wanted to get somewhat more reflective of the amount of time and effort that has to go into tax forfeiture at this time.
Okay, and the same question with confession of judgment administration. That's further on down there. It went from $10 initial fee to $75 initial fee.
Same thing. It, as you recall, state law changed a couple of years ago, and that implementation has been exceptionally onerous on county staff for processing tax forfeiture properties.
Okay.
It does align now with neighboring counties.
Yeah, and the auditor just noted that our fees are in alignment with neighboring counties as well.
Okay. Page 42, a bunch of the demolition permit, fencing, furnace, all those fees, they've gone up by about 33%, from $74 to almost $100.
Yep, similar, we do a cost assessment of what it costs us to do those. Those fees are bound by statute, so we can only do full cost recovery, and these are more commensurate with what the costs are.
Okay. And then the only other comment, I noticed, some of them stayed the same, some of them went up, nothing went down. We didn't get more efficient in anything and was able to lower any fees?
With respect to fees, no. We do an annual assessment as part of budgeting. I can't say it never happens, but I would say it's probably fairly rare.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, no. Mr. Chairman, we did have, Mr. Chairman or City County Administrator, we did have a streamlining process of the plat process. So there was some streamlining by
That is true.
technology.
Yep, there is streamlined technology. It probably wasn't reflected in the fee structure.
Is there anyone else here to speak on this issue? Anyone else here to speak on this issue?
Anybody online?
Is there anyone else here to speak on this issue? Need a motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion.
Commissioner Schumacher moves.
I'll second.
Commissioner Danielowski seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now we have the option to act on this.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, yes, the recommendation is, should you feel you'd like to act on it, there is a recommended motion to adopt the fee schedule as recommended.
I'll make the motion to adopt the fee schedule as recommended.
Moved by Commissioner Hulls,
I'll second it.
second by Commissioner Felber. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
I do have one thing to say. We are always working really hard to try to streamline all of our processes. Our staff does a good job on that. These are basically user fees, and we need to look to be covering the cost on the taxpayers' behalf as much as we can. So that's kind of why you see fees go up at times, but we try to keep them as reasonable as we can.
Is there anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to open forum. Keisha.
Yes, Board Chair, we have one person signed up for open forum. We have Brett Collier of Big Lake speaking on battery.
Evening, Brett.
Evening again. Big Lake, Brett Collier, Big Lake, Minnesota. To start off, in the words of Professor Farnsworth from the show Futurama, good news, everyone. Last week, the Trump administration pulled $70 million in grant funding from the XL battery storage boondoggle that's going on. That's for both the Minnesota and the Colorado battery storage construction. I've meant to talk about this for months now, so I finally got here for this. I was in favor of this iron air battery storage concept when it first came out, until I started this proof of concept that they were going to do, until I started looking into it and going to their open houses. First, it was billed as a proof of concept, to which normally means you're going to build one of these iron air battery things, see how it works, learn from it, and build more to make it better. But that's not what they're doing here. They're building two in Minnesota, one for XL, one for Connexus, and then another XL one in Colorado, Then they're building one in California, in Georgia, in Virginia, and New York. We've had the forwards out there. They're going straight into production. This isn't a proof of concept. They're trying to build these things. So I find it a little disingenuous here on how they're selling this to us. Now let's get to the technical side of it. And we didn't know how much this was going to cost to start with, but now we see that the government was going to give them $70 million for XL. The technical side, these were 10 megawatt iron air storage batteries that were supposed to be able to connect to the grid, deliver 10 megawatts of power for 100 hours. That sounds great, especially since most lithium battery storage systems can only provide power for about 4 hours. Like the Connexus 15 megawatt one we've got over in Anoka. Just like lithium batteries, I'm being told that the amount of time it takes to charge these batteries is about the same as discharge, 100 hours. Now let's ask, how much power does it take to charge these batteries? It takes 2.63 times more energy to charge these things than you get out of them. Without going into all the math, you have to convert into megawatts per hour. So the cost of the energy I'm going to be getting out of these batteries is going to cost 2.63 times more than what you're getting if you got it directly from the generator. These batteries only, and they're in the solar field, so you're thinking, well, they want to use the solar panels to charge them. Solar panels are less than 23% efficient, so it's not going to take 100 hours to charge these batteries with the solar panels. It's going to take 16 days to charge these batteries fully with the solar panels, and then discharge them in 5 days for the 100 hours. You're going to get 16 cycles per year, and these batteries are going to, you'll only get 100 cycles out of these batteries before you have to replace them. So
Thank you, Brett.
I will email you the rest of the things with the links for your consideration, because they're probably going to come back and try and get more money to build these things.
Moving on, anyone else for open forum, Keisha?
There's nobody else signed up, our chair.
Moving on to open forum, or consent agenda. Anything to be pulled or looked at, Bruce?
I have heard of nothing, sir.
Looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move that we approve the consent agenda.
Moved by Commissioner Felber,
Second.
second by Commissioner Halls. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Subside. Announcements, Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Going to do a little bit of an early calendar call here if you want to just jot these down. In addition to the upcoming meetings noted in the board packet, just a reminder that this Friday, there is going to be an event sponsored by the labor industry for infrastructure projects, including the nuclear moratorium. And so that was a discussion point. I sent this out. I'll send it for additional information, should you be interested in attending that. In addition, at the same time, I'll send over just a reminder that the Nuclear Energy Forum, sponsored by the Nuclear Energy Alliance, is coming up on Tuesday, October 28th. This is the forum, or the association that you have joined, so that you have that information. In addition, just a reminder for those who are going to be participating, October 20th, which is a Monday, is the District 5 AMC meeting in Mora. Again, Keisha, I think, has your attendance at this point. We don't have the questions from AMC, but typically what we do is prepare the answers to the questions, and then you can elect who wants to give essentially the county report there as well. And I haven't seen the final agenda as well, but we'll keep you updated on that. Also, just a note, over the next several weeks, we'll be having County Connect meetings. These are our employee meetings. Thank you, commissioners, for your participation in those, as those are scheduled by Tammy, and we'll be doing those as well. And then just looking forward a little bit, wanted to remind folks that the December 4th is our Truth and Taxation Night, so make sure you have both the board meeting and the TNT on your calendar. And then immediately following that, the next week is December 8th through the 10th, is the AMC annual conference down in Bloomington. And again, since it fills up quick for hotels, make sure, Keisha, it's already filled up, right?
We have everybody registered on the board, and you guys all have hotels. I would just need to know if your attendance, or if you will not be attending, so we can cancel those at appropriate times, so we don't incur any additional fees on those cancellations with room or registration.
Mr. Chairman, cancel mine.
All right. As of now, I would just note, we are not sponsoring or co-sponsoring any of the workshops at the annual meeting. However, several of your staff will be down either for the conference or for the day that their affiliations are meeting. So I know Amanda's coming down for part of it. I think Dan will be down for MAPSED. I don't know if Brian's going to come down as well. So you'll see quite a few of your staff there as well as commissioners. On that note, just a quick side on that. During the annual conference, the MCIT, Minnesota Counties Intergovernmental Trust, holds its annual meeting, and we do have a voting delegate and an alternate. Historically, the delegate has been a commissioner, and the alternate, if not a commissioner, has been the administrator. So in the past, Commissioner Danielowski has been serving as the delegate, and I've been serving as the alternate. Does the board want to change that this year, or are you comfortable with Rhiannon handling all the high finance and risk insurance questions?
You want to do that again?
You're okay?
What a glutton for punishment. Absolutely.
Just a note for the record, last year, a certain commissioner sold her administrator down the river and made him speak on a testy issue. So it was a good relationship there. So,
Excellent
okay.
leadership.
Yep. So we'll keep that as it is. Just a couple other final things. We did receive notice from the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission of an Xcel Energy notice of minor alteration of Xcel Energy line and a complaint procedure. It's quite PUC bureaucratic. I would note that this location is at the Martin Marietta Elk River materials site in Elk River. Again, it's a minor alteration. I'm going to pass this around. If you're interested, put your initials on top. I'll send you the electronic information. We'll probably post it online since the complaint procedure for the PUC is noted there, but it's a minor alteration to one of their existing lines. So it's got a staff recommendation for approval from the EIS staff at, I guess it would be Commerce, right, Brian? I think so. And then on that note as well, just because no good deed goes unpunished, Dan got to share with us the bad news that we got the state settlement with Xcel Energy on our property tax valuations. And with no ability for us to do anything other than accept it, the 2025 final valuations were decreased by just under 10%. So what we thought the Sherco plant was worth was decreased by the state in negotiations by 10%. It's still a slight increase from 2024, but not as robust as we had come up with. So I'll pass that down for your information. And again, either you can jot down the numbers or just put your initials and I'll copy it for you. And I think that's probably it, except last but not least, I do want to show a couple of pictures. I thought we have to have a couple fun things. So instead of having Where's Waldo, I kind of thought I'd start with Where Are Commissioners? And this week's version is a couple of things that I came across my desk. I think one was looking for, was that the buried underwear experiment, Greg?
No, we were examining root systems and bacteria.
Root system bacteria, but that is where they do the tighty-whitey experiment, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
good.
underwear was earlier in the program.
Right. And then in the lower right, somebody got lost. I think he was going to the Princeton airport, but it says St. Cloud Regional Airport there. But at least he had the right car there, so, you know. And that car, by the way, is not Trusty Rusty. Trusty Rusty has been replaced, so that one actually works. And then on the left, there was a good event dealing with carp, and if you look real closely, you'll see at least one commissioner hiding there. And the way I find the commissioner is to look for somebody who does not look to be from high school. So that will help you a little bit.
And Mr. Chairman, I will say that I'm next to the city councilor from the city of Zimmerman there as we are on Lake Fremont for Lakes to Labs, which I'll talk about later.
Yep. All right, and then just on a positive note, this goes into sometimes good deeds do get recognized. This was an email that Gina received, and I've just highlighted for you, and I'll just read it real quickly. Wow, what a difference a couple years makes, along with steady progress, will, and funding. This is Graham's Park, looks great. I love the grasses waving in the prairie. They're beautiful. New shelter must be a big hit with groups, and the vault toilets, a big improvement from the satellite plastic latrines. Walking paths were great and wildflowers aplenty. By the way, Brett, I didn't hold this until you got here, just so you know, just serendipity. Big showing of coneflowers and sunflowers today, telling my brother how I'm sure my dad would be pleased to see it now, as would his 8 brothers and sisters who grew up on the farm and returned to it many years to celebrate family. Just wanted to thank you and your staff for all you do here or do there. It is recognized and appreciated. Connie Grams Norris. So a nice kudos to pass along, and sometimes we do get to share good news. So with that, I'll answer any questions the board may have.
Mr. Chair, could we, I don't think the Truth and Taxation has been sent out on a meeting notice yet. Could you do that for us, please?
Oh, your calendar, you mean?
Yeah.
In here.
Has the TNT notice been sent out?
No, they don't go out.
No. I was asking for a meeting notice on the calendar is all.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, the notices have not been mailed yet, though, too. So that's what I was supposed to find for you.
Moving on to the regular agenda. Number 7.1, consider approval of preliminary plat of Addie's Acres. Tim Arnhart. Lynn's not here, so, hi, Mark.
You got me.
I got Mark.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, this is a recommendation from the Planning Advisory Commission, September 18th meeting, for a preliminary approval of a standard plat for Addie's Acres, consisting of 5 lots with 6 recommended conditions. Looking for a motion to approve.
So I do have a question on this one. I was trying to find it here in our packet, but there was a question about how the road's not in the right place on this property?
Correct. Yeah, the road meanders further to the south, which resulted in this property having to dedicate additional right-of-way to get at least 33 feet from center line of the road.
Is there a way to fix that so they don't have to give up property in order to, I mean, because it would seem to me that this, and I'm not sure if we can do this, but it would seem to me this would be the opportunity for them to fix the road eventually if they needed more easement there. They could move the road back into where it's supposed to be rather than taking somebody's property to correct a previous road error.
Mr. Chairman?
Or am I way off here?
Mr. Schumacher.
To answer that question, the road, I was at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting with the chairman, and it was brought up at the meeting that the developer could realign the road if they wanted to at their cost, and then they wouldn't need the additional 13 feet. At the meeting, when that proposal was proposed, you should have seen the slow motion look up from everybody in the room to see who's going to raise their hand to build a brand new road for the township. And no one raised their hand. And so the road that's there now, in order for the township to maintain the property going forward, meaning that these new homeowners are going to have 13 additional feet in their front yard, makes it more beautiful for them if no one's willing to rebuild the road for them.
And this is a township road, right?
Township
So it's
road.
the Township that would bear that cost if that were to be the idea.
It just seems like, based on what's in the packet, the current owner doesn't want that. So could we approve this without the additional 33 feet, and that gives them, and then if for some reason they need that extra footage, they can move the road, is what I'm saying. And not put it onto the owner and developer to have to deal with a road that wasn't put there correctly in the first place. I know, it goes back to my same thing, taking people's property to correct road issues or future road issues. So,
But I think this is, the township board approved this. And I don't know if it's our place to go against something that the township had great discussion on and approved.
And Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Schumacher.
And after the town board approved it, then it went to our planning commission, where the planning commission unanimously approved it.
yeah, I
And now
get
it's
all
in front
that.
of us.
But we are the people who make this decision in the end, right?
Yes.
So, everybody else makes recommendations to this board. This is the board that has to make the decision. And I don't know if it's something we can practically do. I don't know if there's any appetite for the rest of the board to try to make that correction. I'm starting to feel like there's not, perhaps. But, you know, I mean, to me, the thing to do would be to not take the person's property, not make them redo the plat, and then let the township fix the road later if they have to.
We would have to go back to the township to do something of that nature.
Correct.
Mark? Yeah.
So the town board so they're the road authority, so they're approving the plans as presented.
Yeah, I saw all
They
that.
didn't do so the alternative was presented by the applicant to the town board and to the planning commission.
Yeah, that's all in the packet. Yeah, but I just,
It is
object.
kind of a unique situation. In the end, this is kind of what came out of the meeting with the township and the public hearing and recommendation of the planning commission now. So yes, you are right, it does land in the commissioner's hands, but if we do an alteration to this, we will go out.
would have to go back.
Mr. Chair, what was the discussion with the developer? Because the developer owns the land at this point, correct?
Correct, yeah.
What was the discussion?
I think the landowner, the owner and the developer are the one and the same?
Well, the landowner's trying to sell it to a developer.
Right.
If I read the packet correctly.
So the landowner and developer, the two different parties. So let me rephrase. Mitch, are they two different, so they're the same, so it's an applicant and, I just want to clarify. Mitch has worked on this project throughout, so I just want to make sure he has this.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, so, yeah, Mr. Tim Earhart, they own the property. They are developing the 5 lots, which they will then sell to individual builders. So right now, they are the property owner and developer.
So basically, one of the lots is going to be what, 13 feet
Yeah, so-
short of some property?
Well, they have to shift the line on the north, looking at the diagram.
Yeah, so the north property line will go at an angle. As it gets west, it'll be 13 feet more.
And they'll still be able to sell the lot. A house will go on it.
Correct. Yeah, initially, the developer proposed to the township that they would give more, because on any new lot platted, there's a 12-foot drainage utility easement along the road. Initially, the developer proposed to give 25 feet as opposed to 12, 12, but the township wanted that in right-of-way, not in easement.
Okay.
Is there a map that you can put up on the screen?
Yeah, if we have the packet, yep. So as long as the exhibit was included. Is there an exhibit included?
So it's the last page of this packet. It's a colored diagram that was provided by the applicant.
Here we go.
There you go. One up.
Oops.
There we go.
So the red is what was proposed initially, and then the green was what was approved at the township, which moved the lots 1 and 2 and partially 3 north a little bit to accommodate that right away.
Thoughts?
Yeah, so just to reaffirm, the green line is what the township approved. The red is what the applicant
Initially proposed.
proposed with
And
the
the
project.
township denied.
It's not a spectacular amount of land. It's more, it's more of a standard conceptual objection for me.
Understood.
Yeah.
I guess my feeling is that this is what the township wanted, the planning commission okayed.
And the developer was fine with it. They just want to get these lots platted and out on the market so they can start selling and us delaying it by another.
I wouldn't say
On-
that
I wouldn't say the developer was okay with it. That's why they presented an alternative here. But, the planning commission eventually did kind of agree with what the township recommended.
The owners of the plats aren't happy with it. It was in the packet, but they weren't happy with it. So,
I guess another, just clarifying question is, if I look at the red lines on, I guess I don't know for sure what the orientation is, but we'll call it up as north. Looks like the original, the north line on those first two lots appears to have shifted to what was approved as well. Is that true?
So the shift to the north is what was approved because they had to accommodate more right-of-way along the road, because the road goes to the north. It's not directly in the middle of the right-of-way,
So down here.
which meanders north.
Which is a common township road problem.
And if I could, Mr. Chairman, one other thing, this road also has a dead end on it. So you have to maintain that to the dead end because it goes to Orrock Township and Orrock Township turn back the land to landowners. So this doesn't go out onto County Road 1. It ends there. And that's why the township's insistent that they need this extra space to be able to maintain the road for all residents, including the ones that will come in here. And there's always the second option. The second one is that even if we approve this tonight, they still have 1 year to file it and they don't have to file it. There's always a reapplication process. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion if we're ready. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve residential primary plat of Addie's Acres consisting of 5 lots with 6 recommended conditions as recommended by the Planning Commission and listed on the background justification for the property address 14113 277th Avenue Northwest, Zimmerman, property ID number attached.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Danielowski. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Moving on. 7.2, consider approval of final standard residential plat of Wind Dancer Estates, T&T Northern Development. Mark.
All righty. This one comes to you not from Planning Commission, just from the applicant. This is our first application that we see for a standard plat coming to the county board, part of our streamlining process. Back in September, we amended our zoning ordinance, our subdivision ordinance, to eliminate applicants with preliminary plat approval at Planning Commission from having to return to the Planning Commission for final plat approval if nothing has changed. So that's what we find ourselves in. We have a preliminary plat, Wind Dancer Estates with 14 lots, and there were 6 conditions with this preliminary plat, and it's now coming in front of the board for final approval. So this isn't coming from Planning Commission. This is coming from an applicant submitting a final plat that is consistent with what was approved with the preliminary plat, thereby saving this developer and property owner a month to a month and a half of time. So I'm excited to present this to the board with the 6 recommended conditions.
Mr. Chair, if there's no questions, I'll make a motion for this one too.
Commissioner Schumacher makes a motion to accept.
I'll
Make a
second
motion
that.
to approve the final standard residential plat of Wind Dancer Estates consisting of 14 lots with 6 recommended conditions for PID number listed on the memo.
We have a motion by Commissioner Schumacher,
Second.
second by Commissioner Felber. Any further discussion?
I think this is a great deal.
That they're-
Streamline the process. This is
Yep.
fantastic. And it's great to see that it's here.
And it does reduce staff time too. And, you know, having to have another hearing for this meeting, another planning commission, we eliminated a meeting and a lot of additional resources. So when we talk about looking at trying to streamline things and improve processes, this is an example of one that is working.
Just for clarification, because nothing did change from
Correct.
the original.
Yep,
So that's why we're able to do it.
yep. And so it still has to obtain the township approval, the road authority approval, and all those things, engineering, and all those have been accomplished.
And we're not just building willy-nilly.
Mhm.
So,
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Moving on to 7.3, consider approval and execution of a master member program and project agreement between the Mississippi River St. Cloud Watershed Entity and Sherburne County. Mark.
All righty. So this is kind of the fruit of a long process that came out of the One Watershed, One Plan for the Mississippi River, a comprehensive water plan. Coming out of that plan, there are action items for the different 11 jurisdictions to participate in to try and improve water quality projects. So Sherburne County Planning and Zoning was listed in the action item. Mr. Squee, so the Mississippi St. Cloud Watershed Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan. The board approved different action items for the comprehensive water plan. And part of that process is for different agencies to take over responsibility for that. So planning and zoning was, acknowledged or noticed that we have 2 applications that we can process. The master agreement allows us to execute those plans. And then I'm looking for the authorization for the board chair to sign this. So this is signed by the separate entity, the joint powers agreement for the watershed, and it authorizes planning and zoning to proceed with these projects.
Okay.
Okay, outstanding.
Looking for a motion.
Motion to approve?
Motion by
second.
Commissioner Holz, second by Commissioner Felber. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just want to throw out that this is a long process to get the watershed district set up. We're moving forward with the Rum River watershed. This one, we just established the joint powers entity 3 months ago, I think it was. And so, and even with that, it was a multi-year project to get it to that point. So I like to see the progress being made. I believe dollars have been let by Bowser at this point for projects. So I think it's moving along nicely.
Okay. Any other further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mark. Moving on to 7.4, receive a Sherburne County Economic Development Update. Evening, Brian.
Good evening.
Now, just so you know, Commissioners, I did tell Brian to keep it to 2 hours for tonight, so
Outstanding.
Oh, so he cut it down?
he cut it down.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn. Something to say?
You all know me as extremely talkative, so it's
Well-
been hard.
Dan wanted an hour just for his own stuff, but we thought we'd keep it tight, so.
That's right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to present to this board. We wanted to make sure to give a comprehensive economic development update from the last time this department has given to this board. So we wanted to launch on in here. Let's get the clicker going. So the agenda is just based on the strategic plan focus areas, and we'll go through each of the focus areas and all of the improvements and updates that we have for each in the last year or so here. So I hit you with a really text-heavy slide right away, which is the first rule of PowerPoint not to do. But this was just to show in the last year or so the individualized business visits that we've done, over 60 here, and really a sampling of businesses throughout the county. So since it was my first year in this role, I really just wanted to get a nice sampling of the businesses throughout the county. So you'll see manufacturers on here, you'll see small solopreneurs on here, and everything in between. And the goal of that was to get a feel for business throughout Sherburne County. And from that, there were some kind of clear insights that came out from meeting with different businesses and as we continue to meet with businesses. Some of those are that we do have continued workforce needs. In general, most of our employers are able to hire for the roles they want with quality applicants, and we're still getting enough applicants. However, there are definitely certain roles, top of mind being machinists, nurses, CDL holders, teachers, that are always kind of in high demand and short supply. So as part of that, a lot of companies are looking more and more toward our high schools to actually get students right out of high school, train them on the job training, pay for some of their schooling. So we're seeing more and more of that come out from this shortage of workers here. The second is that on the whole, businesses really do have a positive view of working in the county and whatever city or township they are based out of. It was very rare to get a negative view of either their local township or city and the county. And in that, we got a lot of reviews for the broadband access and the connectability, especially along the businesses that were along Highway 10 that wouldn't have been able to have a footprint there without that connectability. So we did definitely want to highlight that as well. And as definitely was highlighted tonight, we are in full support of the zonings and division ordinance update and the streamlining that is going into that, both helping on the residential side for housing and on the business side for streamlining applications and for helping on both of those fronts. So we are in full support there, and our active members where requested to be. So we do have our revolving loan fund, which is again for business financing for our businesses here linked to job growth. And within the last year, we did have one of the businesses in our portfolio completely pay off their loan ahead of time, so that they're doing so well. And this company here, Peachtree Family Institute, is an approved applicant for $100,000 from our revolving loan fund for purchasing the building that they were originally leasing in Elk River. And not only purchasing the building, but purchasing all 3 suites of the building and maxing out that entire building to be a family counseling and support center there. So they are looking to be creating 8 new jobs in the next 2 years here as part of that deal. And according to our economic impact, that will be over $1 million of economic impact just from that expansion and purchasing of that building. So we're very excited to have approved that. On to the entrepreneurial side, we've worked with many different partners to support our entrepreneurs throughout the county. We did just finish the Just Transition Fund grant funding for the ILT Academy cohorts. Those were the 10-week online cohorts for our entrepreneurs throughout the county. We had 39 entrepreneurs go through those cohorts, and I am in touch with most of them to kind of continue that assistance for them and also keep an eye on how their business and business ideas are doing as we progress further from those cohorts. We did just start with the Initiative Foundation on their Enterprise Academy. So that's an in-person entrepreneurship program. That's a 12-week program. We're partnering with Wright County Economic Partnership with that one. And we have 3 Sherburne County entrepreneurs participating in that currently. And we have our online Sherburne County Business Lab that we contract with Rural Ideas Network for. And within the last year, we've had 13 entrepreneurs go through that, some of them multiple times with the online consulting there too. And not on the slide too is also the Small Business Development Center, which serves our area as well. So we have lots of resources for our local entrepreneurs. And even today, just most of the calls that I get out of the blue, when I do get calls out of the blue, are people asking, how do I start a business? And I live in Sherburne County. And those are great calls to get because not only can I help them, but then we have our different cohorts and agencies and Business Lab and SBDC. We've got a range of different layers of help for our local entrepreneurs. So moving from business creation, retention, expansion over to workforce, again, the main thing we saw from the business visits with businesses is the increased attention toward actually getting those partnerships set up at the middle school, high school, sometimes even elementary school level, and really gearing students toward what do they want to do right outside of high school, giving them that exposure early. So there's lots of ways that's done. Our various school districts have different forms of their CTE programs, which is their career and technical education programs, and for economic development, we encourage that and try to work with the schools and find more employers that we can connect with the schools in this too. We also work closely with DEED. CMJTS there is the Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Center, and then the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry all have both on-the-job, incumbent worker training, internships, apprenticeships. So there's a range of different programs that our schools are already involved with, and part of my role with economic development is to get more employers connected with the schools so we get more of that partnership set up here. And on the side of, well, actually, there's a full transition here over to housing. It wasn't a nice segue between workforce and housing, but maybe workforce housing is that segue. So as this board is well aware, we established the Housing Trust Fund earlier this year, and the first program out of that Housing Trust Fund is our Homeowner Rehabilitation Loan Program for our existing housing stock throughout the county. And I'm happy to say we've had one applicant complete that entire program. So we received an application from an individual in the county. They were approved as they met all of the requirements. They had a failing system in their house, and we approved them for a complete overhaul of that system for a new system, a new well. So it was a well project that aside from our program, there would have been no other program they really would have qualified for. So it caught them well. And now they have a new well on their property, and the contractor is paid, and this then goes on to their special assessments over that 10-year period. So the homeowner is very thankful of that, and will actually be presenting at the upcoming EDA board meeting. So if you want to meet that gentleman. So it's been a very successful program so far. We're getting it out to more banks. We're getting it out to more community members so that more people know about the program. We reach out to the banks because oftentimes people go there first when they're looking at those giant housing projects that they have to take on. That's some really good photos, the two, not the middle, but of our Housing Study Action Forum, which is an event we did to really try and pull together all of our different housing partners throughout the county and try and be that nexus of information when it comes to housing, when it comes to who's who, when it comes to partnerships. So it was very successful in connecting people with other partners that they wouldn't have already known about. We had two commissioners that were also there and could speak to it as well. But on the whole, we got a really positive outcome focusing on the housing study and what we know to be true, which is that we need new housing development of all kinds going into 2030 to keep up with our projected population increase of at least 10% throughout the county. So this was kind of that first step in really trying to put the housing study data to practical use. And we're following up with the participants 30 days out, 90 days out, half a year out, and maybe do another follow-on event after that point. And speaking of partnerships, really trying to use economic development at the county level, working closely with each of our cities and townships. When I first entered this role, did a speaking or a presentation tour out to all the townships so that they could put a face to the name for economic development. And some of the townships I've actually worked one-on-one with for different projects that they're working on, different grant opportunities. So an example there is Clear Lake Township applied for the Initiative Foundation Thriving Communities grant and actually did qualify for it, but they weren't able to actually go through with it. But being able to be there to be a partner with them to earn that grant is definitely something we want to keep doing with our townships and cities. So on to childcare, and you'll notice that I put childcare as 2 words. I have looked it up multiple times. In America, childcare is 2 words. If you're in the UK, it's 1 word. So if you want a fun fact for your friends and family, that's your fun fact, though everyone spells it as 1 word. Anyway, we've been trying to figure out how to be involved with childcare and what economic development's role is. And our main role has been both to support our different communities as they go through childcare programs. So one of the areas we supported was with the city of Becker. We just finished up their Rural Childcare Innovation Program through the First Children's Finance, which is a 2-year intensive look as to how the city of Becker can target childcare. And one of the things that kind of came out of that was looking at childcare from a county perspective. So this is our childcare availability map. I think I've talked with each of you individually about this before, but for those in the audience and online that haven't seen this before, you can find it through Economic Development's webpage from the county and Health and Human Services. But it's an interactive webpage where parents and caregivers can search for current childcare availability. So you just go on the site and you search for if you need 1 infant spot and 1 toddler spot, you put 1 and 1 in those columns, and only the providers that have that current availability show on the map. You click on one and it shows their phone number, their contact information, and you can call them and get that set up. So we found that as the main need of our parents and caregivers is they didn't know what the availability was, and the only way to deal with that was to call down a list of 140 providers, which didn't seem like the best option. So this has been very positively received both by our providers and the community, and we're looking to work with our other local counties around Minnesota to emulate this. This was just staff time, was no funding needed, and we'll be able to maintain this pretty easily. So we're pretty happy about that. Speaking of the regional approach, we're moving forward with Region 7W and acting like a Region 7W, which looks like we just had our kickoff meeting last week. We're bringing together our counties here and thinking about regional projects that make sense to try and tackle both for short-term wins and long-term wins. Obviously, bringing our communities together, some of the identified priorities included infrastructure projects, workforce, housing, childcare, and business development. So very in line with what economic development is already focusing on, but really looking at it from a regional perspective. And Dan will actually have an update for that after I'm done here. Transportation is one area that we have been trying to be helpful in, and part of that is having our Zimmerman Communication Zoom calls that have been going on throughout County Road 4's project, and generally has been well received as far as trying to get information straight from Public Works and straight from those actually doing the work directly to our business owners and directly to community members who wish to be on that call. So as that project wraps up, we are moving into how do we communicate the upcoming project and the actual current project of the 169 redevelopment there. And so we're working with Bolton and Mink and MnDOT on those. Bolton and Mink has been very forward-thinking in wanting to reach out to businesses early and often for the 169 corridor project. So we are excited that Bolton and Mink is kind of leading the charge there, and we are supporting with their outreach to businesses, and will continue to work with businesses as the Zimmerman area continues to go through these roadwork improvements. And on the transportation note too, we have active members with the Central Mississippi River Partnership. I always get that wrong. Looking to put that additional bridge over the Mississippi here. And economic development roles for that is going to be continuing to do outreach campaigns to local businesses to gain that momentum and support of our local communities. As this project moves forward, we'll have to look for more and more funding sources, and it's very nice to have that support and necessary to have that support of our local community and businesses. So we'll be continuing to do that outreach there to the local businesses. And I believe this is the last category for our slides here, and that's marketing. And marketing for economic development is just being out there and trying to connect with as many people as possible. I'm just one person, and I have Dan as well, and so we're two people, but trying to get out throughout the county, meet as many businesses as possible, business owners, leaders. I've connected with the chambers of commerce, all of them in our region. We've done radio spots and newspaper articles. That we do marketing as far as presentations like this one to as many different groups that will have me as possible, and try and fill the calendar so that people know what programs we offer with economic development. We do occasionally post economic development updates through the Facebook page, and we also do through LinkedIn as well. Hits different audiences, so that's why we try and hit those two different social media platforms, and there's always room to continue to do more there. But continuing to do that outreach, which then actually takes me to the last page, the last page, which is that we are...
Chairman, I had a question. On this page here, if you go back up one, I just struggled to read what it says next to the, right there and on the fencing. What's that say? I can't read it. I don't have my glasses. Aren't serving you the world's best French fries from Sherburne County. Is that what that refers to there?
Yes, that's what that one refers to.
The potato, yes, if you could help me.
Potatoes for the French fries at the state fair come from Sherburne County.
The world's best
World's best.
potatoes.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure it's hard for me to scroll in on the screen.
So we have it on record that it's the world's best.
Formerly growing on the Gary Gray farm, right?
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
Coming from Hayes Farms for the last
Hayes Farms,
35
all
or 40 years, I think.
Okay, good. Thanks for getting us on the same page.
No, you're fine there. And we put that one up there because, as you can see, that one got a lot of reactions and interest, and it's nice to be able to have a Sherburne County business and agriculture really be in the limelight for a positive.
What was the it was Wright County had something too that prompted you to think of that? Wright County had the corn, and so Rayann's like, get those potatoes up there, so.
The roasted corn
Okay.
comes from Wright County
I'm glad you did.
at the state fair.
And that finally takes us to just, we're continuing to do work in economic development. We're about halfway through our strategic plan, so it's time to do some updates to it. So our upcoming EDA board meeting, working and looking at that strategic plan, seeing what to update. We are happily able to cross off a lot of things of the strategic plan because we've met the goals that we've set for ourselves back in 2023. So now we're crossing those off and saying, what comes next? What do we want to do with economic development? Where do we want to focus the time and energy that we have for that? And I think at that point, I'm a little bit short of that 2-hour mark, but that's the end.
Thank
I
you.
can take any questions.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Hulse.
just one piece on pushing out some information. So on one of your first slides, one of the concerns was the implementation by the state of the mandated medical, family leave and medical leave programs. I would like us to take an active role with the chambers on pushing out some information on that, specifically around the notification requirement that has to take place by December 1st. If companies, because a lot of small businesses don't have a lot of resources, businesses must post the implementation of that program by December 1st if they intend to use payroll deduction to pay for their 50% of that program. So I'd like to make sure that gets pushed out to our local businesses so they know the requirement, so they can meet the requirements, so they can do what they need to do in order to do the payroll deduction.
Yeah, agreed.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Felber.
I don't really have a question, it's a comment. I mean, what I really am liking about the work you've been doing and what's happening with our economic development is that it's very results-oriented and we're getting results. And even, I went to the Housing Summit, and even though that was more of a paper exercise, I got feedback from other people who attended. They felt like we actually got something done. We came out of that with, because you go to a lot of meetings and a lot of group things and you have good ideas, but there's not a concrete or applicable plan that comes out of it. Out of that thing, you really came up with a plan for these various areas. So I'm really enjoying how results-oriented and the results that you're getting from the EDA.
Yeah, thank you.
Brian, I just wanted to, in regards to childcare and how important it is to economic development, because if a person doesn't have access to childcare and they do want to go into the workforce, they're not going to be able to do it if they cannot find that person to watch their littles. And we are working too on staying on top of what the state is trying to implement and regulation changes for childcare licensing and some of the things that they're working on trying to implement. And this, I'm repeating myself because I've said it before, they want to take a 20-page previous licensing document to license a childcare, whether it's in-home or a facility, and turn it into a 97-page document of more rules and regulations that we need to stay on top of. They kind of, it dropped for a while, but it sounds like it's kind of percolating back up again, so we need to stay on top of that to make sure that, you know, we all want to make sure that our kiddos are safe in those childcare environments, but we don't need to overregulate the process either. Just because someone looked at it and said, we haven't touched this for 20 years, we should look at it. You know, not because there was a reason or something that happened. So we need to make sure we stay on top of that because that has the potential to drive a lot of people out of the childcare, being a provider in an in-home setting.
And to that point, we're even seeing from the licensing side, the new applications have stalled out. And part of what we think, I don't know if it's confirmed, is that people are kind of scared of these potential regulations coming in.
And that is not that's not the direction we need to go. And if the thought is you're going to put them more into the centers, that cost is going to get way greater to have your child in a child care center facility. So I don't want to lose our in-home care providers. And so, yeah, so I'm happy we're going to stay on top of that. One other thing on your first slide where you showed us all of the visits you did in the first year, that's a very impressive list. I appreciate all of your efforts in getting out to a variety of the businesses. It's just a scratching of the surface of the businesses that are in
is.
Sherburne County. And I was just wondering, are you planning on keeping a spreadsheet? Because there's so many businesses to visit and nobody expects you to do them all in a short period of time.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, do you have a spreadsheet you're starting and you're going to continue to make these BRE visits?
Yeah, the nice part is I inherited the Executive Pulse cloud software that we have, so that's kind of our spreadsheet. So it's a BRE program. We can put in the business information, and I log these visits and the information about those businesses. So we have it there too. As far as who to target next and which businesses to look at, because like you said, and one thing I'll be bringing up to the EDA board is Minnesota Secretary of State now has a new tool where you can actually search for current business filings in both the county spot and you can zone into each city. And that's only come out in the last few weeks. And so we'll be diving into that more. And even just looking at that list, we're thousands and thousands of incorporated businesses. So 60 is like you said, just right on the surface.
Yeah.
So as we think about the staff time of just one person being out there hitting businesses, 1.5, 2 people hitting the businesses, where best and how do we utilize that time is a significant consideration.
Yeah, and it's amazing. There are a good number of little industrial parks in our township areas,
Yeah.
along with where you find industrial parks in cities. So yeah, there's a lot of businesses out there. So thank you for your efforts and everything you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Chair, one last question. On the, on the map, for the childcare map, do you know, are the various chambers of commerce linking to that from their websites?
I don't believe it's on their websites yet. They've talked about it during the different chamber meetings, and I presented it, they presented it. I don't think it's on their websites yet, so that's a good thought.
Okay, thanks.
The other thing I should mention is economic development can be interpreted broadly in terms of defining it. So we've employed some of Brian's skills in areas such as with some of our major road and bridge projects, and he's been serving as a facilitator or interfacer with those businesses. And I think it's been relatively successful because Brian speaks a language that Andrew and Dave Rodell and even I don't speak. And so I think it's been very, very helpful. And it really puts an emphasis not just on that, business recruitment, but the business retention with the existing businesses to make sure that we're in contact with them. And that interface between a road project in Zimmerman and what it means for a business, I think has been super helpful for Brian to be involved. So I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
And one last comment too, I appreciate all your efforts on the housing front and working on trying to take from our housing study and how much we do show that is needed across the board in all of our housing stock, from starter homes to homes that will help facilitate older residents that want to downsize but yet still have something that they can live in that meets their needs. So I appreciate that, and our efforts in trying to make sure that we're working on trying to move the needle of that housing development and stock, because when your housing is out of whack and out of balance and you have a supply and demand issue where there's more demand than there is supply, what ends up happening is the cost of that housing will increase. And we're seeing that happening in real time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, that's it.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Moving on to number 7.5, consider approval of appointment to the 7W Economic Development District Governing Committee.
Good evening,
Dan?
Commissioners. And I just want to thank Brian. He's been here about a year, and it's pretty impressive what he's accomplished in that year. So thank you for all you've done, Brian, and made a big difference. As he mentioned, the second 7W Economic Development District is progressing. Right now, applications are on hold at the federal government with the shutdown, but we're still proceeding as if we can get an application in the queue. Staff have met, and now it's time to form a governing body. So we're looking for 2 representatives from Sherburne County. They don't have to be elected officials, but some counties are choosing to do so. And both Commissioner Danielski and Commissioner Hulls have been on the EDA and would be interested in filling these roles. So with that, I look for recommendation or a motion.
I would move to appoint Commissioner Hulse and Danilowski to these positions because nobody deserves it more.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Felber, second by Commissioner Schumacher. Any further discussion? I don't think so. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
All those opposed? There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you for the.
Vote of confidence? Yes. Consider approval of state and federal representative agreements. Bruce?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. So last fall, we had a discussion about the state and federal lobbying contracts or representation agreements. The board's motion at that time was to approve a one-year extension with the possibility of a second year to get us through the biennium of the state legislature. That would get us to next summer, at which point your direction was that we would probably do another solicitation. We haven't done one for a few years. Not really an RFP, it's more of an RFQ. And so the recommendation is just to continue the existing contracts with our two firms, one state and one federal, until essentially next summer. So through the state biennial legislative session, which ends in hopefully May or June, and then the federal system, which gets through their budgets, which is basically July for an October 1st start date. So, and then in the meantime, in the spring, we'll start the solicitation for continuation of those contracts for the future.
Is that an action item?
Yep.
It is a recommendation for approval. I would note that the final agreements, I gave you copies of the extension agreements. One of the firms at the state level has requested a data, I don't know what you call it, data privacy or data management addendum that we still have to work out, so that these approvals are pending final attorney and administrator work on that.
Okay.
Looking for a motion.
I would move to approve the state and federal representation agreements for legislative and executive issue topics and initiatives and authorize the county board chair and administrator to execute the same.
And then do you want to add those
Subject to.
subject to?
It's in the minutes or in the notes. So,
Never mind.
I have a motion by Commissioner Felber,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Danilowski. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I am anxious. We've got a lot coming up. And regardless of who ends up winning, is the final successful bidder on the projects, I want to make sure that we start the process. It could end up being the same firms that we're using today. It may be something different, but given the magnitude of some of the things that we're going to be working on, I want to make sure we get the best representation possible. So that said, I just want to make sure I'm clear. When would we be looking for the solicitation to go out?
Usually we do it in late spring, early summer. Depends on when the state ends their session, but typically right after session ends, we do a postmortem and then we go out for requests for qualifications.
I'd like to see us accelerate that as best we can, realizing that I'm planning on our existing representation. I'm assuming that they will want to participate, but I'd like to see us go out as close to the end of session for the solicitation as we can.
Yeah, I'd say usually we do it afterwards because in the thick of the end of session, it's hard to, have an existing group that's working on session, also work on their
I think, well, that's
response.
a fair point. So we'd probably, assuming session ends in May, which it normally does, especially for the second part of the biennium, we would probably be looking for
June or
responses
July.
back sometime in June or early July.
Right. The other nuance is too, is, you guys can decide if you want to bring firms on before the election or after. That may also change your decision too. So, we'll have a conversation in the spring as we get closer. I'll lay out a timeline. But last time we did it, we had, I think 4 firms responded, and it was a good interview. And, I think you guys made good choices. And I assume we'll have the same type of responses this time.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 7.7, consider approval of resolution number 100725-AD 3241 regarding repeal of Minnesota's moratorium on nuclear energy production. Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. So couple months back, you voted to join the Minnesota Nuclear Energy Alliance, second county in the state to do so. Then I think at the AMC policy workshops, you had additional conversations and thought it would be appropriate to put it in a formal resolution. And then in addition, the direction to staff was to prepare a template resolution, which could then be sent from Sherburne County to the 85 other counties, not including Itasca, obviously, and asking them to consider the same. So in front of you today is a resolution specific to Sherburne County, as you referenced it, and then in addition, a handout for your information is a template resolution and a draft letter for the chair to send out to the other 85 counties. Keisha is really excited about doing 85 signature blocks, I just want you to know. Yeah, but we will then get this out and ask them to discuss this. The other thing I would note is this did come up last week during Julie Ring's presentation at the fall conference or the annual conference for administrators. We did talk a little bit about the moratorium and as well as data centers. Both came up as well for discussion points. So we were able to add some value added on those. But if the resolution is appropriate, the board can approve it tonight for Sherburne, and then as part of that motion, direct us to send the template and the letter to the other counties, asking them to consider the same.
I'm pretty happy with how it's written. I don't know if anybody else has any concerns about it. I think it's really well written, and I would move that we approve this resolution and we send out the template to other counties, because this needs to be done. We need base power load. There's absolutely no way we can live without good base power load.
And I should note on that as well, you have an upcoming workshop on base power. We did speak with Michelle yesterday, right? You talked, and that's going to be scheduled November or early December. And so we will have that base power discussion at your workshop coming up as well. So
All right, I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Felber, a second by Commissioner Danielowski. Any further discussion?
This is something that we've all been working on in various capacities for a while now, and I think, not to put too fine a point on it, but this is an opportunity as a county for us to help lead the way, and we do know when the counties act together, it does move the needle, and this is something where I think we can absolutely move the needle on as long as we're out front of it, and I'm happy for Sherburne County to be out leading this.
Yeah. And we were at the XL Energy breakfast the other morning. Nuclear power was brought up. Rayanne and I talked to Senator Matthews in regard and offered our assistance for anything he needed at the state legislature to move this forward. So I am, wherever I go, bringing this up if it's prudent at the time to do so, because I think it is an important issue for all of us. So.
Yeah, because it will help solidify a reliable baseload energy opportunity. And nuclear energy has come so far in the, even since the Monticello plant was built. I'm going to ask my fellow commissioner to give I always love his talking points on this in regards to where nuclear energy is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be brief, but you know, the U.S. Navy has operated their version of small modular nuclear power plants for the better part of 70 years. There are 25 small reactors on various college campuses across the U.S., including the electrical engineering building at Purdue University in the Big Ten, and the mechanical engineering building at University of Wisconsin-Madison, also in the Big Ten. So these things have been around a long time. Minnesota is not just behind the times on this; they're behind the times by eons.
Yeah.
So it's time for us to move forward.
Yep. And whatever we do now at this day as nuclear reactor or power plant of any kind might take 10 years to develop at a minimum. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner correspondence committee reports. I would ask tonight, being that it's already 7:25, that try and keep these as brief as possible.
I'll go first.
Say tournament.
Yeah,
In other words, Greg's not talking.
I'll be fast.
You'll be fast.
I saw you look directly at Commissioner Dolan.
Yeah.
Well, the two on both my hands, right here. Brad, you're first.
I worked with the Zimmerman Bulletin Board and Zimmerman community on a road project and made a great video, which you guys may have seen or may not have. I provided a public opportunity to have lunch with the constituents as a follow-up to that, where I had 15 constituents come, and then the county administrator showed up to also answer questions, which was nice, and also the chairman of Livonia Township. We did the Lakes to Labs event, which you guys seen the photo of. I did the XL breakfast, which you guys will talk about. I did the WM tour, which you guys will talk about. With the Rum River Watershed meeting, they produced a new sign. An assistant administrator has the sign right over here. He's going to pull that up so everyone can see it in the room. I attended the high school fundraiser for the city of Becker, Big Lake, Elk River, and Zimmerman. Attended the City of Prince City Council meeting, City of Baldwin meeting. They did a levy presentation on the 477 district, Livonia Township meeting. And then we did the ribbon cutting for the Avivo.
We'll call it the homeless village, Vivo Village, St. Cloud.
I did that with the administrator, and at the same time, we had a great conversation with the mayor of St. Cloud. He didn't know, but we were ready to have the conversation, and he chimed up, and it was very, very good. Bruce and I did a really great job at that to do 2 meetings in one. And then I attended the planning and zoning meeting with the chairman, and then I'm going to attend the viewing of the infusion aerator at Lake Pokegama after we go to the AMC meeting. I'm just telling you up front, I'm going to take one of our county cars to do a little lake tour when we're out at the AMC meeting. And then I think that Bruce might talk about the Vivo opening maybe. But it was it's a fantastic partnership that we have at the county, and just proud to be there and see all the people and all of the excitement of the process and how it'll help the community in wraparound homeless services. And so it's just, yeah, it was heartfelt to be there with that in that process. So. And then I left the rest for you guys to fill in the blanks.
Well, you forgot the county the county engineer told me that he did finally find the missing orange cone. It was seen in the back of Brad's car. So
Yes, it is in the back of my car. It's traveling. It's traveling. It's a traveling cone, by the way. Yep.
Commissioner Hulls.
I yield my time to Commissioner Delanowski since we went to all the same meetings this time.
Commissioner Felber.
Okay, so
Okay.
Great River Regional Library Board, we're hoping that there's some ebook legislation possible to legislatures for some funding for that. That those are really popular in the libraries. The MICA board meeting, the main things that I highlighted there, concerns about state data centers, or data centers in the state, and also concerned about what is commonly called the Act that's coming out next year. We all know what that is. It's very long. But anyhow, so we're still concerned about that, for that. Soil and Water Conservation District meeting, which I had a picture of here. What I thought was super interesting about that was the strip tilling, where they can actually plant 2 crops in one field, and they were able to put rye in the fall, put soybeans in the spring, and while the soybeans are growing, they can actually combine the rye above the soybeans, getting 2 crops on the same field. I find that fascinating. Rural Action Caucus, there was a good housing discussion. Joaquin Altero was speaking about it, and there's proposed legislation in DC to support rural housing. The MESB, they have finally are going to be moving ahead with the mapping of schools statewide, and we awarded it to Critical Response Group, so we're really hoping to get that going and get that done so that emergency responders will have maps in their squad computers when they go to a school. Energy Transition Advisory Council merging issues. Fergus Falls and Beckers are having issues with transition aid, something we'll be working on. I went on a tour of Vonco 2. It is an incredibly well-managed, awesome landfill. Large-scale processing of organic matter is not nearly as smelly as I thought it was, and the product that comes out of it is just fantastic. So I learned quite a bit there. That was a great one. We all had, well, a couple of us had a meeting with Sally Fox and Taylor Reeves, who are the outgoing Chief of Staff for Tom Emmer and the new Chief of Staff for Tom Emmer. and most of the, or if all of the department heads attended that meeting. I went on a tour of the Ramsey, Washington Recycling Center, which has been operating for 40 years, but the counties bought it about 10 years ago, and it processes all the trash from Washington and Ramsey counties, separates it, sends some of it to recycling. They're capturing like 90 tons of aluminum a week out of that thing, and then the rest of it, and the trash that can be burned is sent to 3 different burners in the state. That's a good one. I went to the Ramsey County Recycling and Hazardous Waste Facility was something we're thinking about building. It was really a nicely built one. Got some good ideas out of that. The Energy Transition Advisory Committee regular meeting, I was made chair of that committee. So that's one of the places we're going to be working on trying to help get the nuclear moratorium lifted. The Violent Offender Task Force, they're working on finances and investigations. The NACO Public Safety discussion of act to allow Medicaid for people committed removing the IMD exclusion. That's called the Michelle Alyssa Go Bill, and that's a good idea because then if people are receiving Medicaid when they first get arrested, they'll continue to receive that Medicaid, not putting that money on the counties, which saves county taxpayers money. The East Center Regional Juvenile Center, the per diem had to go up from $400 per day per member, $400 a day for members and $485 for non-members. And we're very concerned about the age of delinquency changing from 10 to 13, and that goes into effect August 1st, 2026. The Great River Regional Library Special Meeting, Brandy Cantor will be the new director. That's what we got done there. And then today I went to 2 of our county pillar meetings where we work on our future plans, future programs. One was for strengthening our health, safe, and livable community, and the other one would be promoting economic growth. Those were both very good meetings. Basic constituent issues, still working on the Eagle Lake issue. Lots of questions on the 2026 deer season. We'll continue to work on that. And the one last thing I would like to mention is that this year, 251 police officers have been shot. As of August 1st. Since August 1st, 7 more have been shot, several of them fatally. 35 officers were killed, now we're up to 38 officers been killed. Along with the proclamation that we made about lowering the temperature on the political killings, the same thing has to be done for the police. ICE is not evil. The local police enforcing the law are not evil. We shouldn't have government officials, politicians out there advocating that it's okay to commit violence against the police. This has to stop. That's it.
Thank you.
I should have advocated my time to.
We all donate our time to you.
All right, on the 16th, I had a NACO Central Regional, thank you. On the 16th, I had a NACO Central Regional Zoom meeting. The 17th, attended my SEP Coalition meeting, and this is just a continuing discussion in regards to cannabis, vaping, what we can do to help mitigate these things amongst our youth and stuff. So that's an ongoing conversation all the time. It's kind of like you play whack-a-mole. You think you got something under control, and then something else pops up. But we'll keep on working on it. And also Congressman Emmer's monthly call, and like Commissioner Felber said, Taylor Reeves is his new aide out there in Washington, and so she'll be facilitating our monthly meetings. And it was very nice to meet her and put the name to her face, because we do it by Zoom call. Attended my options board meeting on the 22nd. The Big Lake Township meeting on the 24th. Attended the 7W Transportation meeting in St. Cloud on the 26th. Did a county tour of Waste Management Elk River Landfill on the 30th. That was a very interesting tour. We got a lot of education of what it is that waste management does and then a little bit of information on their operation, and then they took us on a bus tour around the facility. So we're driving over garbage and going uphill and downhill. It was quite interesting tour, to say the least. And they are a little more stinkier than what you probably experienced. There was an odor. So anyways, moving on then, on the 30th, October 1st, attended the XL Energy information breakfast, and we did talk about lifting that moratorium on nuclear. XL is very interested in seeing that happen, so we'll continue to work with the state, and hopefully we can move that needle. Attended the solid waste advisory meeting, meeting that evening here at the county. We did approve some extra funds to cover, what was that? You remember off the top of your head, it was $150,000 to do the,
Was that for the septic grants?
no, it wasn't septic grants. It
Okay.
had to do with some increased funds for recycling. I'm sorry, people.
Okay.
And then on the 2nd, the ATP3 planning meeting that was up in Brainerd, and that is also with MnDOT in regards to how we share the funds that we receive across the ATP3, which involves a bunch of other counties besides just ours here at Sherburne. The 6th, I attended the AMC Economic Development Lunch and Learn. I found that very, very interesting in regards to the information on how you can continue to promote economic development in your county. And then on the 7th, attended today the Serve Big meeting. Also had our strategic planning meeting for our pillar of operation number 2. And we worked over a few things there in regards to what it is we want to work on achieving going into the next year and what we've accomplished to date. And I think that is it.
Did you get it all for you, Andrew?
I think so.
Okay.
Anything? You're good? I'm good. Okay.
Didn't know you had an administrative assistant.
And he thinks,
Cover your correspondence for you.
and he thinks after Commissioner Felvers, that I'm the problem.
You're the problem.
Someone has to set a bad example.
I'll be brief. The 17th, I did the MICA meeting. 17th, I also did the soil and water conservation to the field, same way with Greg. I did the board meeting on the 18th. I did the planning and zoning commission on the 18th. Commissioner Schumacher graced us with his appearance there. I did the 2 Inlets Public Open House on the 20th. The 22nd, I did the NACO Agricultural and Rural Affairs. On the 25th, I did the Airport Authority, and just a brief note on that, they did approve a levy increase of $1 million. That motion was made by Benton County, seconded by Stearns County, and it was a unanimous vote by the authority. So, on the 29th, I did a town hall meeting at the 1010 building in St. Cloud. I had staff there. Brian was there, Larry Fonder was there, Ben Zawacki was there, Jody Endrick Dick was there. It was a kind of a Dan Weber. Sorry, Dan was there. It was a combination. Staff did a wonderful job, and I think the interaction with the city of St. Cloud and Sherburne County needs to be done. And that's kind of why Karen Larson, one of their council members, thought it was wonderful that we did it together. We filled that building up, actually standing room only. Jake, the mayor of St. Cloud, was there. A couple of Bernie Perryman, House Representative, was there. A couple of city council members. I think it was very well attended. And one of the residents did say that the Sherburne County had never done anything like that, in his knowledge, on the east side of St. Cloud like that. So I think that was well received. And we'll probably continue doing something like that in the future. Rand talked about the waste management tour, the XL Energy Community Breakfast, the courts with Don. My involvement with courts was watching Judge Judy on TV. Monday, Don graciously took me around to all 3 courts, and I want to emphasize how much work our attorney's office does in them courtrooms. The attention to detail, attorneys going back and forth between rooms, the caseloads they're dealing with is just impeccably incredible. I mean, it's a kudos to them for what they do, and that's compliments to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We appreciate it.
And then I did the strategic pillar thing with number 3 and number 1, moderated by Keisha, who did a fabulous job. Provided treats for all of us too, so that's always great. So, and that's all I've got. And with that, I'm going to convene this meeting, take a 5-minute break.
Yep. Do you guys want to just go in the conference room? I think so. We're a small enough group, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we'll move to a closed session after that. So 5 minutes,